from West
Yeah.
Tampa Tobacco Company.
Yeah.
How's
For
that
sure.
sound?
It's hard for me to not say sometimes CAO, but
Right.
I'm learning about West Tampa Tobacco Company more and more. But it's been great, bro. It's been great. Thank you so much. If you can hold on, I need to turn my fan off
Yeah,
because it's
no
getting a
problem.
little chilly in
All
here.
right. All
It's
right.
about bro, it's already 72 degrees here.
Same here.
Chilly,
Oh, you were
chilly.
listening?
Yeah.
This is my spring hat. This is my
Mm,
springtime hat.
mm,
It's for fashion.
mm, mm.
Yeah, so Rick has been on the show a few times now, and
Sure.
as he mentioned, it was when he was with CAO, which was a big chunk of time. Obviously, it was over a decade you were with them, and you've now branched off onto your own company, and you have two official regular release blends. You have one coming out regular release blend, and you have a limited edition series as well. And we are featuring tonight the West Tampa White. We also have the black for the second cigar, but we wanted to start off with maybe the slightly lighter, milder blend, but it's not a mild cigar. So I'm gonna light that up here momentarily. It looks like Nate already did. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk
Yeah.
about the white and where you're at. And then in part two, we're going to talk about going all in, which is what Rick has done. And that'll be a great topic for part two. But for starters, Rick, like you said, 10 months before we started here, right? 10 months you've been at this project already.
Yeah. So I left General Cigar in April. I think the 28th was my final event. And I dropped the mic, took the weekend off, and opened up West Tampa on that Monday, the 1st of May. And they were
Took a weekend
shocked.
off.
They're shocked because I said I'm retiring for Jello Cigar, so they thought I was just going to retire, and
Yeah.
they're fighting to keep me on board. They're offering me more money. Stay. What are you going to do? You're too young. Hey, bro, you know what? I'm just going to go my own way. And
Yeah.
we had my partner Gus Martinez, worked with me, and we worked on this project for about a year and a half before we opened officially West Tampa. But a lot of behind the scenes, a lot of weekends, doing things to get this ready for me to retire on a Friday and open on a Monday. Yeah.
They say retirement can get boring, so I understand. By Sunday evening,
retirement's a killer.
You were bored.
Oh, you know what? I think 20, like everybody, it taught me one thing. Without a kind of a hobby, to retire is the death of you, because what are you going to do? You're just going to go and watch TV all day and just die. And so, yeah, if you look at the major, players in the world, the guys that run Fortune 500 companies, they don't retire. They just work, work. And now, if I was digging a ditch for a living for CAO, I would shut that shovel down and walk away.
Right.
Never dig a hollow again. But smoking cigars, no. I hope I have another 20 years.
That's fantastic. And just to mention, and we'll talk about it a little bit more, but it's a kind of you mentioned Gus Martinez, and that's who because you're always busy and doing the events and like doing everything.
Right.
He's busy too, but that's who I worked with, kind of
Exactly.
more on a communication level. Getting you to the 10 event here this year, which I greatly appreciate. I know that was a struggle for you guys with trying to figure out where to go, how to map your first quarter and really like your first full calendar year. So love to have that. But it's also a little bit of a family affair, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. So really starts in 20. I was kind of sitting around like everybody was sitting around and kind of like, what am I doing in this time of my life? Do I take this opportunity to do something else, or I'm happy with my career? Just, when I could go to work again, I'll just go back to the company. But my daughter called me. She was stuck in, I think she was stuck in for the shutdown. She was stuck in Nicaragua. And so once she graduated college about 9 years ago, she started to travel the world. So she's been traveling the last 9 years of her life to the Philippines, Asia, She lived a year in, I think, Australia, all the through Central America, Europe, and then she says, "Dad, I want to come home. I'm done. I'm done traveling, and I want to work with you." And I said, "Well, that's not going to happen, because I'm working with Jello Cigar, and they're not going to hire you to make me happy. So if
Right.
you really are interested in this, I need to quit Jello Cigar and start something with you." And she says, "Okay, just do that." All right, it's
says
not
the woman that's been traveling the world for 9 years.
exactly. I'm
Yeah,
ready,
just
so
do
I'm
that.
ready. So
Okay.
you should be ready too. And so so bro, you know what? We'll think about that. And even about 2 or 3 months later, I was talking to Gus, and Gus was always calling me through the holidays, birthdays, celebrations, just to keep in touch because we formed this friendship, not a business relationship, because he was, a high-end marketing VP of marketing for Jello Cigar at the
Right.
time, but I had my own marketing guy, so I didn't really work with Gus. My marketing guy's boss was Gus. So when I was visiting this, the office, I was always saying, "Hey, bro, how you doing? Good. How's the things out there? Good, good." And then we stir up the kind of friendship. And so when I called him, I said, "Bro, I think I'm going to retire from Joe Cigar in 21. What are you going to do?" I said, I don't, maybe get off the road. Sarah wants to work with me. We're going to open a shop in Tampa." And he said, "Bro, that's interesting. I'm looking forward to something to do, and I want to get back into the cigar business. Are you looking for a partner?" I said, "Bro, I would love that because I know a lot of things about cigar, tobacco, storytelling, blending, and all that, but I don't know the behind the scenes business." And that is where he came into play. And I said, "Bro, let me do this. I would do a little business plan and see if we can justify opening a shop in Tampa." We did this. And about 3 months later, he gives me the report. He said, "Bro, this is the business plan. I think we can do this." And so, let's do it. And so we're very close to choosing one of the two locations that we kind of ended up with. Okay, this is the one. And so let's contact and start to negotiate for the Brit. And then about a week later, Gus called me and said, "Bro, I'm out. I'm not going to do this because I live in Richmond. You're going to have this shop in Tampa. All I'm going to do as your partner, just sit back and collect money from you because you, Sarah, and your wife have to run the shop. And so because I'm not there, yeah, I just collect money."
He was where? Richmond?
Richmond. He still lives in Richmond because that was where they were based for, Joe Cigar.
Virginia, right?
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
And so he said, "I'm out." And I said, "Bro, I." And so what he says, I'm like, "Bro, have you ever thought of your own line?" Steve, to tell you the truth, I never thought about that because I was so happy with Joe Cigar.
Right.
I had access to any tobaccos I want to work with. Nobody said no to projects I want to do. So I was happy. And I said, "No, no, bro, no." He says, "Let me do this. Let me do the business plan and see if we can do this." And he did it. And he said, "Bro, we can do this. We can do this." And we set up a importer. And then we started to say, "Okay, we know the name. We're going to call it West Tampa. It connects my history of, my life. My grandfather and grandmother came from Cuba to move to and World Cigars in 1952 or three to Tampa, and they lived in and worked in West Tampa. I was born and raised in West Tampa, and so we knew the name was solid. We knew the importer is good. We had the money. So now we have to approach a factory. Working with Joe Cigar, that's very scary because this industry very small, very
Mhm.
small. For
Word
me to
spreads
be
fast.
very fast, I could not believe that we did what we did, and a lot of people are like, "What? That? Wow, that's out of the blue." And so we knew that we couldn't approach a big manufacturer to work with or a second tier manufacturer because me just walking or communicating it's going to spread. So we started to hunt for little guys. Little guys are off the radar, and we stumbled into two in the Nicaragua and one to the DR. And we kind of gave them directions what we wanted for this first cigar, white. And the samples started to come, and this little factory that we ended up working with, like, spot on. I said, bro, if you can do this through communication for emails and Zoom calls,
Yeah.
what can we do together if we're actually working together? And so that's the kind of the way we did it and launched it. And then we wanted to, like, maybe 175 to 100 shops year one, and we wanted about maybe 2 to 3 European countries year one, and well, yeah, we
And
passed that. We passed that.
Well, don't
Just
just say we
slightly.
passed it. Like,
just
Yeah,
slightly.
I'm sure our audience would like to know, like, just how much have you accomplished in your first year?
Well, so 10 months later, we're in over 300 locations or doors in the U.S., and we have now finalized our last country to date was last week, was France, and we're now in 25 countries total in Europe and Asia.
Wow.
So double the amount of accounts in the first year than you expected, and 10 times the number of countries.
Yeah. And
Not too
so,
shabby.
no, it wasn't, because we knew that something. We need two things going in. We knew the value of what I did for the last 24 years working with General Cigar would be a benefit for us, opening doors for us. And then we really thought that these two cigars were a good foundation cigar on a price point and a story behind them that would launch this company. So we had those two things and said, let's go to work. And so we just kind of bashed the factory and said, guys, do not ruin this opportunity for your company and your family. I'll open doors for us the first time. It's going to be up to you to sell that cigar the second time, the third time, the fourth, the 10th times, because they'll buy it for me. But if it doesn't work, they're going to say, Ricky, I love you, really, but your cigar sucks. I can't support that.
Yeah. Well, that's not even just, it is the obviously the brick and mortar, especially, and then obviously if you go online or, internationally, but a lot of it is the customer. Like, you can hype it up with your name on it, your history behind it, your story.
Mm-hmm.
And then the retailers or people that recommend it because they know or like you, which typically is both in your case. They know and like you.
Right.
And it's just one of those things. They smoke and they're like, I want to like it. I want to like it.
Right.
Sorry.
Right.
But when I first smoked it, and we'll get into this blend here a little bit with the West Tampa white. It was an interesting, I guess, sales sheet that was originally sent.
Yeah.
And as soon as I heard, that you were launching, obviously we're in Ohio, for those that don't know. Ohio's a different beast in the United States as far as getting in there. So I contacted Rick. He had Gus get a hold, like, basically he was like, yeah, let's send them samples. Let's get the guys at Tinderbox at Easton some samples. And Brian Joyce is the owner, and he and I smoked them, and we're like, yeah, I really like this white. The black's good too. And so then we're like, all right, so what do we need to do? And it's like, well, we're not quite there yet with Ohio. And we're like, damn it. All right.
It's the same thing with spirits.
Yeah. So it took a little while that you guys started popping up all over the place. Obviously, a lot of the online, review sites and like Half Wheel and these blogs and Coop and all them, they started blasting it out there. So we started getting asked for it. And luckily we were able to work it out where we were able to launch it in the Columbus area big time at the 10 event. So for those that are coming or planning on trying to buy one of those last couple tickets there, we're going to be handing out Rick is going to be handing out the white, which is what we're smoking tonight. But the sales sheet was interesting because it was just white and black. And you look at I like that you were very specific on the blend. But what do you call this? I can pull up the email, but what do you guys call this on the sales sheet, the wrapper leaf on this?
Well, they're calling it Havana Pink. I don't know why. Pink. So I've never heard that term they're using in tobacco, but that was a term, and because it to their eyes, it had a pinkish tint to it. Don't see it. But we knew that blend, we created these two blends for two reasons. Because Originally, we were going to launch just white, and 6 months later, black, and then 6 months later, red. And so, what we're thinking about, okay, where is your target for white? The target really was for the European market,
Yeah, I can
because
see that.
we knew that we wanted to get in there. And when we smoked the cigar, it had that Cubanese feel to it.
Yeah.
And so more of not concentrating on the body, but the flavor. But I think the body is wrong when we say mild. We should not start at mild. We should start at mild plus to medium body, depending on what you smoke, because it's not a smoking like a Mackinac. That's a mild cigar into my eyes, and so it has a little bit body, but this flavor that a lot of people are, bro, there's something going on I cannot put my fingers on, and it's one of the tobaccos that we're using the plant. And what we're learning to, what I want to do is not talk about such emphasis on the blend, because what I have discovered, Steve, throughout my career, once you start to name off tobaccos, people start to remember bad or good experience. So if it's good, it works for you. But when they say, whoa, you have what tobacco in there? I don't like that. Oh, no. Maybe you don't like the version of that restaurant cooking your steak. You cannot judge every steakhouse because you had a bad meal at Outback. So Outback is, okay, that's a bar. I don't like steaks cooked out because I don't like Outback.
Because they use that prairie dust shit.
Yeah, exactly, whatever it is.
Whatever that is on there.
Yeah, whatever that is. But so for me, there's so much information you can get your hands on. You can get your hands on go to my site. You can see the blend. But I say to you guys and girls out there, sampling a cigar, so the first time, do it blind. Do it blind and let your palate dictate to you. Oh, I love this cigar.
Yeah.
Because if you say to yourself, I don't like that binder. Really? Okay.
You mean reading up on it.
Yeah. So I would say to everybody, you know what? Dive into the cigar, smoke it, and then research it. I said, oh my God, I thought I didn't like this type of wrapper from this country. Okay, now you know. You don't like that version that other guy made, but you like this version.
Yeah. It's hard to do these days if you're getting into it. I mean, even if you go into a brick and mortar store, no matter if it's cigars or otherwise, I mean, you people try to sell you in a sense, but a lot of times it's without asking questions. It's more let's just this like word vomit of everything, hey, this is what you want, this is the newest thing, this has got the most features, this has got like blah 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 blah. And I think with the stuff that's out there too, all you have to do now is do a Google search and say West Tampa white, and then it's just blam blam blam, and it's like you're inundated with all that stuff, so it's hard to do that. I agree with you on that. With this cigar, again, it was really interesting when you guys had sent samples initially, because like to your point, the pink Habano or whatever, like we were like, what the fuck is that? What is that?
Yeah.
And it's funny that you even say that. You're like, I don't know what it is. It's I love hearing
that. Bro, again, I don't know. I don't care. I know this. I enjoyed it when I smoked a Fumo with it, and I enjoyed it when we blended with it. So if you want to call it rainbow or marshmallows or pink, whatever, it's Ecuadorian. In my eyes, it's Ecuadorian. That's it. So whatever you want to call it to make it stand out, perfect.
Got a question out there. Why white?
Simple. Because it's simple. Because what I learned, what I don't want to do is name these cigars like a lot of guys, a Latin theme, a Latin name that nobody can say or ask for, and they embarrass. So, if you look at these cigars I launched for CAO, they're very common. If you can't scream that name out loud, what are you smoking? Okay, something, love it, something, bro. bones, flathead, white, black. I just want you to say, hey, what's about this West Tampa white without this crazy Latin name that nobody can pronounce? And I struggle pronouncing sometimes. Like, okay, done with that. So we're really simple. We love the presentation. We love the box and the design of the band. I said, bro, that's white. And look at the black, that's black.
Yeah,
I think there is a cigar too. Is it Eric or was it Sam Lucia? One of those guys did a black and white too.
Sam.
Yeah. Okay.
Sam Lucia, when he branched off of when that whole thing. Well, it was Oliva, then it was with Carano, and he was doing his own thing. His first two were the white and the black.
Yeah.
And I would say that you kind of follow suit. I don't want to say better than he did, because I think, especially in the cigar world, white it equates to a milder cigar than black. And I'm trying to remember, one of his had some of that fire cured tobacco in there.
The black.
That was the black, and I thought the white had a little more oomph to it. So it's almost, I like the way you did that with the white being a bit more on the lighter side of medium, and the black, in my opinion, so far what I've smoked, it's pretty straight medium.
I agree with you. Solid.
So don't think it's going to be a real mild cigar, and then the black is a real heavy cigar. I mean, you're flirting with medium, but I think the white is a hair lighter, and also lighter in characteristic as far as the flavor profile, which I think the flavor profile, it's funny that you say the Cuban-esque thing, because I think it's a lot of times in the cigar industry, it's a little overplayed, but I would agree with you on that one with this, because it does have a little bit of kind of like just a hint of like that sweet saltiness to it that I get from, do you get that?
The saltiness, yeah.
That saltiness.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you've smoked this before, right, Nate?
Friday was the first time I had one.
What are your thoughts? Because I think I've smoked it more often than you, since I was able to have a sample.
Honestly, as I'm sitting here smoking it, sometimes either smoking a cigar or tasting a whiskey or something, it'll spark a memory of something.
Yeah, bro, I love that.
Smoking this all of a sudden popped in my head. It kind of, even though it's a different wrapper, and I know it's going to be a different blend, just the body and profile initially reminds me a little bit of a Monte Cristo white.
Really,
bro? I'll take that all day long.
yeah.
To
be in that, exactly.
But just like the creaminess of the smoke, the earthiness of the flavor to it. I think this one, you said Habano wrapper, right, on this. There's obviously a Connecticut, but Ecuadorian. So similar profile, just slightly different leaf. I think this one does come across just a hair more body and flavor than the white series.
Yeah.
But no, that was the first thing that popped in my head, was like, this is kind of what that reminds me of. Just maybe just a tick fuller.
Okay.
See that.
Great. And again, if you look at the black and white are the same wrappers. And so the black is not Maduro in our training, my training. And so, again, I'm talking about our training, my training, or my factory's beliefs. And so when somebody says, no, a dark wrapper, especially like your black, is Maduro, it's just a right. Well, my training, if I cannot rotate that cigar in my mouth, pull it away and taste that natural sweetness, that is not a true Maduro in our eyes, or Jello cigars, or my training. And so what we do with the white and black is just ferment low temperatures, not breaking down the starches to turn them into sugars. And that's the reason you can rotate the black and pull it away and say, bro, and if I blindfold you and gave you the two wrappers of Pumas, you would like, okay, when I'm going to smoke the black or the white, because I'm smoking the two same cigars. You are.
Yeah.
But the blend, what we did was, and you're right, because the white, I want to focus on the wrapper. All the flavor I really want you to receive. And I don't care if you want to name a number, 60%, 90%, whatever that bullshit is. I know that I'm trying to downplay my fillers to upplay or highlight my wrapper. But if you look at the black, reverse that. I want to downplay that wrapper because I upplay that wrapper with the white, and now I want to highlight the fillers for the black.
Yeah, and I have those here. I don't know if you have those. I'm sure you rattle them off, but I mean, I'm looking at the sheet that was sent to me, and it's interesting the way that this is written. I mean, again, I go back to what Ricky said originally was like, I encourage you to kind of blind smoke this the best you can. Obviously listening to us talk about it. That's why we do it. Hopefully it'll give you a little bit of a picture here. I think Ray is stuck on this white name. I'll speak to that Ray Cheshire out there saying, he's asking about the white and black. He was the one that had that question.
Right.
He says that it's like it's already been used, and it's not very big on imagination, or it's not, like, to Rick's point, it wasn't meant to be. This was supposed to be like this is going to be my core series. So the only thing you have to remember is West Tampa, really, because the white, the black, now the red is being launched. Feel free to bring some of those for us to sample at the
I
tent.
will for sure. For sure.
And but I mean, I get it. I mean,
don't forget to take care of the guys in the store.
There's so many different names out there, but I mean, we'll see where it goes. But I mean, again, it is marketing. Simplicity works sometimes. I feel like
we'll have fun, down the road, and name and really, kind of play with names. Right now, what we're trying to do is build a foundation called West Tampa, and make it more of the cigar company with a good cigar, and not, kind of relying on this crazy name to sell that cigar. I just wanted it simple. I want you to judge the cigar for the cigar, not the fancy box, not the fancy name and all that. So I want your lure to be, okay, this is basic. Like, what the? Oh, okay, this is not basic. Yeah. This is, I would do this. That gets me, you're thinking, I love that.
Well, I think this is, Ray, this is journalism sponsorship. I'll say this. I mean, I'll say it on the other side to Ray's point. We can get off this topic. Part of that is that this is a market we talk about with the whiskeys and the spirits, and there's a lot of things, other industries out there, but the name, the band, everything else, you can really quickly, in the cigar industry especially, and I even say with like what we're drinking tonight, it turns gimmicky and it almost comes across as either overhyped or it is like gimmicky to a point where it looks almost like cheap. You know what I mean? Because it does go back to what you're smoking. So I think you can pick, elsewhere, like somewhere in between there, but it's got an elegant band on it. You guys did a nice job on the branding of there, but I will say, show me the band, Ray. I did post a picture of the show tonight beforehand on the Bourbon
and BS. That that paper is the paper that we're using for the bands. Are the first time that the band makers have ever used this paper. This paper is for stocks and money. It's kind of a money paper. And so we knew that was elegant. And if you look at it, there's some, kind of a yarn in it. So you can see it's like money. It's a stock certificate. And so we knew that the focus is get away from Ricky, get away from fancy names, and just, hey, guys, this is a news company. It's very simple, very, to the point. And then we just want you to try it. And then we'll have fun. Bro, believe me, my concept for the next 10 years, you're going to say, what is this? Black pork. Well, I love a black pig when I barbecue. I do not like to barbecue a white pig. And so that black pork. And so we'll have fun naming cigars later on, like an Attic. Attic series is a great example of taking a left all of a sudden. Where is this coming from? Attic series. And so we'll have fun. But trust me, my friend, if you can, just sample the cigar. And then if you want to rename it for me, please send that to me, and I'll definitely research it. We can,
exactly. The official blend on this, for those that are interested, wrapper Habano Light Pink. The binder is Ecuadorian Habano. And then you have, I do like that you include what primings in a sense. So it's all Nicaraguan, right? So Ometempe Seco, Jalapa Seco, and then Pueblo Nuevo Viso, which is that smaller region, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Pueblo. Yeah.
Pueblo Nuevo. It is a very small region. Yeah.
And then for those that don't know, it's kind of nice for, and we'll talk about the black a little bit as well, but more or less Viso is the lower primings. Then you have the Seco in the middle, and then the Ligero, which this has no Ligero in it, which is going to keep that strength a little bit further down on the scale. The Ligero is going to be at the top, and then there's variations, medio tiempo, as people still will call it, and then you've got different variations. But that's where you get the combination of on the leaves or on the plants rather. Typically, you're going to get maybe different, less to some like on the Viso, but it's going to be very combustible.
Exactly.
Seco is going to be kind of right in that sweet spot. It's got a little
your
bit
flavor.
of strength, a lot of flavor.
Yes.
And so that's where you're looking at this. When I read that, it was kind of cool to see that, because it's obvious that you're trying to keep it. And based on the literature here, it's lighter side of medium for me, because it does have that Viso and Seco, but it's Seco dominant in the filler to, I think, like kind of amp up that flavor. And that's when I read that and then I smoked it. I was like, to me, that correlated real easily, because I get a lot of flavor from this blend, and that would make sense why. So I assume that was intentional.
Yeah, exactly. And for me, to you guys, what I wanted to do when you receive a cigar from us, sample it and say to yourself, who am I smoking this cigar for first? And so if it's for the shop, sample it for the shop, and then sample the second cigar for yourself.
Yeah.
Because the shop is, because I can say to you, I'm not a fan of Cameroon, but would I make a Cameroon cigar? For sure, because I know there's fans of Cameroon. And so for me, I'll blend and kind of target a blend for somebody else, not me. So do you, when you smoke a white, you think, bro, Bob would love this cigar.
Yeah.
Bob would love this cigar. So yes, I'm going to bring it in. Will you like it? No, I don't like it, but I know there's fans out there that would love that style, that body, that flavor. So for sure.
Yeah. And what are you drinking with it tonight? We talked about it prior to. Did we make a good choice for you?
You did. This one.
Angel's Envy.
Yeah. So I think with that the barrel that there, I think it's
port wine finish.
Yeah, exactly. So that sweetness is adding, bro. You have a problem if you know that. I was trying to read it, and you fucking really.
I sell wine and booze for a living, Ricky. Not to mention, Angel's Envy was the bourbon that got me really onto bourbon.
Right. It's a very smooth. So I think that with the finish of that barrel and that sweetness that we're trying to kind of upplay for this blend, perfect pairing.
Yeah, I thought it would. The other one you had was a small batch select Four Roses, which I thought might overpower it a little bit compared to the Angel's Envy. We're drinking something that we know very little about, as I mentioned early on in the show here, the Big House Big Straight Bourbon Whiskey 120. It's 120 proof, so it's up there.
Yeah, a little bit different than the 86.6 that Ricky's drinking.
Yeah, 120 proof. We're up there. Nate, what do you think of this?
It's finish is a little bit much on finish.
Yeah.
Up front, it's smoother than I was expecting. Not a lot of sweetness though.
No.
So my question to you guys, could you take that bottle and rest it and it will open up or get better, or you know what it is, and that is the style?
So whiskey is a lot different than wine, because wine will continue to age in a barrel or in a bottle because of the yeast and everything else in it. Whiskey, once you take it out of the barrel, it's not going to age. The only thing that can happen is once you open it and you put the cork back in it, it can oxidize a little bit over time, but that takes a long time for that really to happen. Because there was a few months ago where I picked up a brand new bottle of Weller Antique, and I had a bottle open in my house for like 3 or 4 years waiting for Steve to come over, because I know how much he likes antique.
I do, yeah.
And so we actually did a side-by-side taste comparison, and they did taste a little bit different. Now, there's no way for sure to know whether that was because that bottle had been sitting half full in my cabinet for 3 years, or it actually was a little bit different over the course of 3 years with what was coming out of the distillery.
But 90% of the time, what you drank today is what you're going to drink in 6
Yeah,
months and a year later. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, once you open like I said, once it comes out of the wood, out of the barrel, it's not going to age. It's not going to change. Okay. That's it. It's done.
In my opinion, it might lose some of its oomph. You know, it's
okay.
kind of
okay.
I compare it a little bit. It's not identically the same, but in kind of the sense of when you know, with the cigar too, if you let a cigar rest in your humidor for too long, some people are like, yeah, it's not like and I'm not talking bad about it, but I mean, to the extreme of the people that do the pre-embargo Cubans, and they're like, yeah, this one's from like 1934. And I'm like, I don't know if I'd want to smoke that because that sat for so long. I feel like you lost a lot of that desired flavor. Same thing with a bottle, like it's been cracked and you're like, oh shit, I forgot about this bottle. It's 10 years later. I mean, if the cork was in, if it'll still have the essence, I think, of it, but it's almost like a softened or almost like not watered down, like in a sense you add some water to it, but it'll just kind of lose, I feel like, some of it because like you mentioned, the oxidation, it's hit the air again out of that barrel. So
and anything that uses a natural cork bottle top, if you don't keep that bottle slightly inverted to where that cork stays wet and you're rotating the bottles in order to make sure that cork stays wet, you can lose alcohol content to evaporation through the cork.
Excellent. I never knew that because I have a shit ton of booze that is given to me, you know, and I'm not really a brown kind of spirit drinker. I enjoy it, but you know, I'm not sitting down every night and enjoying stuff.
Yeah, we know a good place you can send that then.
Bro, I'll bring something that's special. I think it's special. I'll bring it with me. Yeah, I think it's special.
Yeah, I think you're good. I mean, like I said,
really,
it's more of the extreme amount of time. I feel like, you know, people that like will have a bottle that they crack something special and like, I just want a sip of it, and then they like, I'm not going to touch this until I give it to my son on his 18th birthday, and the son was just born. I'm like, you probably shouldn't open that. You should have just kept it sealed. So I think you're going to lose something there. This Big House Bourbon, the 120, it is, I guess, limited. I think it's newer. We couldn't find, like, Googling this, you can't find it anywhere. You can't find any real information about this. No one's reviewed this bottle, but I had the guy at our local liquor agency, which is how the state of Ohio is. And he's like, well, it's the only one that's left that's like, you know, tougher to find. And it's not expensive. It's produced by Sazerac, which is the parent company of a lot of people's favorites, like, you know,
Buffalo Trace, Weller, Blanton's,
all that stuff.
E.H. Taylor.
So, and it's interesting because the Big House, the regular bottle that's available, that's been reviewed since 2013, that was actually sourced from a company, I believe, out in, I was out west, but they were sourcing it from, we thought, MGP, for those that know what MGP is. And so this is produced and bottled by Sazerac Company in Louisville. And again, 120 proof. It says it's crafted in small batches and bold. Our bold bourbon is mellowed in new charred American oak and finishes smooth due to time served. And that's obviously a play on words. We're talking about the marketing and everything else with their cigars. Time served, obviously, is a play off of the Big House, which is what this is called. So,
and 4 years age statement on it.
4 years. So not the oldest, but again, it's not the youngest, which is nice.
How much was this bottle?
So this bottle in Ohio is $29.99. I saw it online at some online retailers, everything from that price up to $79.
Wow.
The $79 was very much in the minority. It was very much so in that $30 range. So you got a 120 proof bottle at $30.
I think it's funny, though, on the back they put mellowed in new charred American oak. Well, guess what? All bourbon has to be aged in new charred American oak.
See, Rick, I got a warning here.
Wow.
So if you remember Nate in the past, if you know when you were on, if you could find a bottle for like $30 or less, like Nate had 4 of them. Because it was like, dude, no, this is great, man. It's $30. It's $22. Like a handle at 1.75 is $18.99, man. It's not so bad. Now that he's in the spirit and wine industry for the last month officially.
Wow.
Hear that attitude a little bit?
Yeah. It reminds me the first time I walked into the factory when I was promoted to be trained to become a blender. I was amazed that I got my big ass head through the front door because in my eyes, I was already a master blender
Mhm.
The day I stepped my foot in that factory, I'm a master blender. And they slapped me around in the back office and say, "Yeah, we're here to train you." So, I remember he says, "Send in Jose," and I was like, "Oh, Jose has to be the master blender for Cohiba.
Yeah.
Who's this guy? He's going to train me." It was the head custodian. He had a broom. He says, "Okay, your first week of working with the factories, sweep this floor."
I love
Like,
that.
what? I'm a master blender.
Knock you down a peg.
Yeah, so maybe
Jose
we need
was
to do
basically
with the
Mr. Miyagi at that point.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, paint
I
this
didn't
fence.
realize I thought because General Cigar wanted to keep a clean house. They were always sweeping, and I said, "Bro, this is great." I said, "Bro, no, we don't. This is money. This is money. We're going to
Yeah.
sweep it up, clean it off, and sell it to machine guys." Like, what? So
Yeah.
every pile is money because I was throwing it away in a trash can, and they corrected that right away. Right away.
Gotta learn from the bottom,
Yeah,
man.
yeah, exactly.
They'll
Gotta learn
sell
from
that to
Bob.
the
Thank
cigarette
God, bro.
companies or
Thank
whatever.
God, because
Yeah.
I was not ready to be trained because they had to knock me down a peg to get to.
Well, I think that serves you. I mean, just briefly, that serves you where you're at now, obviously, too. Starting all over, starting,
Yeah.
with this, your own business. It's like you're not gonna if they give you like, hey, you're gonna at some point maybe even like buy tobacco by the lot yourself. You're like, no, don't throw anything away. I got something to do with this. Anything is left behind, I got to still do something with it because I paid
for
for
sure.
it. You
Exactly.
see the value
Exactly.
of that.
Mhm.
A lot of times when you're just at that level or you're an employee, you don't think about the P&L statement. You don't think about what, that's not what you're getting paid for. So why would you care about it? There's a level of
Bro,
respect.
you are so right because I realized the day I left Jello Cigar, I was living in a bubble. They protected me so well. I didn't have to worry about all this bullshit about how to make a box, who's going to make that box, how to make a band, who's going to be the artist. It's amazing the bubble. I just said to them, "Hey guys, I want a box that lights up." And about 3 months later, "Hey Ricky, your box is here." What? Okay.
What took you
How
so
did you do
long?
that? How did you do that? Well, we went to China and all that. So it's amazing that what I have to learn today. Again, the tobacco side, I'm comfortable. The business side is thank God I have my partner. Thank God I have my partner because it would be a struggle for my family without him because he could correct something. But again, going back to being able to work with family, my daughter saying that she wants to work with me. Okay, what are we going to do with her at West Tampa? Because what we don't want to do is just be the cheese serving girl at the end of the aisle. Taste this.
Yeah.
What is this? Well, let me read something. This cheese is from a black and white cow in this. Okay, so I said, "Girl, if you're going to go there and be the face of West Tampa, we need to train you." And so, because she doesn't smoke cigars, but she loves the aroma, she loves the environment, she loves the history, she loves cigars. The only thing she says, "I'll smoke cigars when I'm ready." And so, okay, are you not going to do that? How do we make you legit? And so she's been in the factory. She's going to train in the factory for 3 months to be a roller. And so now she has her own stories to
Yeah.
say, "I know how to roll a cigar. My father doesn't know how to roll the cigars." So if you want to talk about blending, talk to my father. You want to talk about production, rolling techniques, all types of rolling techniques. I'm the guy to answer that question. So she's going to be coming home about maybe the 15th of April. And she'll be done and she'll be off and running. And hopefully we're going to be able to send her your way to do maybe a little store event and just share a new cigar with you.
Oh, absolutely. It'd be amazing. And she's down in Nicaragua currently, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
she's working with a couple of factories. One is the factory that we work with, but it's a small factory, so they don't have the fermentation area that we wanted to see. So we partner up with another factory and said, "Can you show her the true nuts and bolts of but they have a growing situation. So she's going to go to the farm, harvest tobacco, hang tobacco in the barns, process the tobacco, and then ultimately roll the cigar to be able to talk about that.
That's fantastic. I know my brief trips like to Connecticut and then down to Cuba. I've not been to Nicaragua yet. And, you know, every time, like you say, I mean, when I came back and even to this day, when I talk to, you know, any customers, anytime on the show and stuff like that, just being able to say that you were there and what you saw, and like you show pictures, you talk about, you know, what level of involvement you had and just what you were able to see at these farms and factories. It blows people away because it, you know, I was blown away by it. I'm sure she's blown away by it.
Oh,
And
for
she's
sure.
got, I mean, it comes across in passion. Ronnie, who you talked to last night, says, amazing. You still have a voice after doing a show last night. That was Great Lakes Smoke, right?
Yeah, and they're hoot, bro. They're family. They're hoot. But we had a great show. But you know, this is my job, so don't cry for me, Argentina. What am I doing? I'm sitting my ass, smoking cigars, talking bullshit. So thank
We've been
you
on
so
their
much
show
for
before
telling
too,
me.
actually.
Can't believe he just
Yeah.
quoted Ava Perón.
So to keep the show rolling, we'll talk a bit more about the Big House as we do the ratings on our side, and we'll talk a little bit about the Black West Tampa cigar here in part 2. But I know want to keep this thing rolling a little bit, so we'll talk a bit more about the family and what, you know, again, the topic being go all in. But this is the time of the part 1 here where we're going to do the rating. So we're going to rate the whiskey on our side is the Big House 120. And the cigar is going to be the West Tampa White, and the pairing is obviously that. Ricky's got some Angel's Envy bourbon, and he's smoking the white as well. And then we have Sean in the garage, who is not. You might have met him actually, Rick, one of the times you were here, but he's in the audience all the time and sometimes joined by others. But with it being 40 degrees, he's riding solo in the audience. Do you want to talk about the cigar? Yeah, he's relighting the cigar here. He just walked back in the garage. So Sean Wilkinson's in the audience. He's enjoying this. So I would say he's about as close as what we were talking about, a blind taste test, not knowing the blend when he lit it up,
Good.
honestly.
Yeah. Love that. Love that.
Yeah, so I really enjoy it. I actually like the wrapper too. I like the design. It almost looks like maybe you meant to look like this, like a dollar bill, or
It's the same type of paper
sure.
used in currency.
Yeah, it looks like.
Yeah.
I like that. I've never seen anything like that.
Mhm.
I really enjoy it. It's like, I'm gonna have to agree with Nate. It's like a Monte Cristo white. I would love to. I wish I had a nice big thing of black cup of coffee right now to go with this thing.
I love
to see what it tastes like. But yeah, it's pretty good. And I'm used to, like with these guys, it's usually medium full. It's kind of refreshing to have a little bit milder of a cigar.
Sometimes it's good to reset your palate a little
it
bit.
does.
It really is.
And to reset with this it's been a welcome change. So I'll give it a 8.5. Like I said, I really enjoy it with that. The bourbon reminds me a lot of what we had last week. It was kind of
the Ezra Brooks 99.
Yeah, kind of sweet or smooth on the front end, and then you get the heat in the chest. But I do like the taste. And it's kind of, I would give that a 8. And the pairing's pretty good too, especially if you smoke and then take a hit and then drink. With a milder cigar, it definitely gives a different flavor when you do something so mild with something kind of a little bit stronger. But I'll give the combination an 8 as well.
Okay. Ricky, let's get your, if you don't mind, your rating. 10 is the best, and you can rate the Angel's Envy, but you can do the 10 rating. 10 being the best, the rating on the whiskey, the cigar, and then also the pairing. So, what do you think? I mean, this is your first new baby.
Yeah. So if I had to judge the cigar for my taste, I would give it a 7. Very good cigar for the right time. I would rate it a little bit higher if the body was a little bit more, that I can maybe eat a burger and enjoy the cigar. I could not eat a steak and enjoy the cigar, so I have to take some points away from that. If you say no, first cigar with a cup of coffee, I would inch it up to 8.5 of that. But if you say to me right now, smoking at night at 9 o'clock at night, all day long, eating and drinking, whatever, I would rate this a solid 7. And so for me personally, But again, in the morning time, tomorrow morning, I would definitely rate this cigar a little bit more than the 7.
Interesting. Nate, how about you?
Was he going to do his whiskey and pairing?
He doesn't have to. That's what I said. He can if he wants to.
All right.
You said it pairs well with the Angels?
Yeah, so I would the Angels to me. I'm now drinking the Four Roses, and so I would maybe an 8 for the Angel.
Yeah,
for me. Yeah.
Yeah. You said you switched to the Four Roses.
I did because I'm now smoking. Bro, I've already smoking 2 black today, so I'm cheating. I'm smoking the red.
You're smoking a red?
Yeah,
I guess you're allowed to.
Yeah, but I fucked up. I should have, if you called me one more day before you called me, it's like, Ricky, are we still on? Oh, yeah. I didn't have it on my schedule. Oh, no for problem. Sure we're still on. Thank God you called me. I would send you. So I'll definitely bring you some samples, and we'll talk about red. What red is and how red came about, because if you smoked Attic, you'll see where we're going with red.
Yeah, and the Attic is going to be available as part of the sampler pack at the 10 event. So that's going to have some white, some black, and an Attic, I believe, and that's that sampler pack. And again, at a very aggressive price. So that's a great way to try it if you're coming to the Smoking 10 event on March 18th. So Nate, what do you think of the whiskey, the Big House 120, the cigar, the white from West Tampa, and obviously the pairing as well?
So on the whiskey, I'm a 7 on the whiskey. It's a decent bottle. It doesn't necessarily have the sweetness that the Desert Brooks did last week. Like that had a little bit more like a butterscotch type sweetness.
It's more like caramel.
This one's got a lighter caramel flavor. Like it's not a deep, rich, bold sweetness on the front end. Does, like you and I had commented right before we went live, like the finish on it initially was a little different.
Yeah.
Definitely hits a little bit. I think it, at $30, it's a decent bottle to have and sip on, maybe even using a cocktail, because the high proof, it'll definitely stand up to anything you throw at it. I think it's just a decent sipper to have on the shelf. But with the brand and also, at a $30 price point, I don't care what the whiskey is. I don't think anyone's expecting to be blown away by a $30 bottle. Like a $30 bottle is, for most people, is probably just, hey, it's a good bottle.
You're not expecting it. No, I would not imagine, but there are some out there that would absolutely surprise you.
Yeah. So 7 on the whiskey.
How about the cigar?
8 on the cigar. I like the flavor. As I said, it kind of reminded me a little bit of a Monte Cristo White Series. Just a tick stronger than that, but still on that lighter side of medium in terms of the strength. And I love what you said earlier, Ricky, about the trying to make the wrapper be the focal point of the blend. Like you intentionally made the filler combination what it is to highlight this wrapper. And I think you did that successfully. It's a good cigar. It's got good flavor. I think this is definitely an earlier in the day or first cigar of the day type of smoke. Wouldn't want to smoke this after a full meal with a heavy whiskey or something like that. This, I can imagine, because I like the Angel's Envy that you were drinking earlier so much. I can imagine that this one probably paired pretty well with Angel's Envy, because it has it's light body but has a fair amount of sweetness, especially with that port barrel finish to it. Which one of the things I learned in my new job, like, you want, instead of doing wine and cigars, do port. Yeah, because you can smoke whatever cigar you want. If you've got a decent port, it'll stand up to it with no problem. As far as the pairing, I think the whiskey, because of the high proof and how delicate the flavor profile is on this cigar, I think the whiskey's a little bit much for this cigar, but it doesn't completely kill it. So I'd split the difference and do 7.5 on the pairing.
Okay.
Like I said, I think that Angel's Envy that he's drinking would probably go better with this. Something that's a little lighter and a little sweeter.
Yeah, or a wheated bourbon.
or weeded, yeah, something like Larceny.
Lower proof.
Yeah. But no, it's decent. Not, I would try and find, like, if I was going back to the cigar again, I would try and find a different whiskey.
Okay. So for me, the whiskey, I'm kind of with the Big House here. I didn't know what to expect. It's $30 bottle. I'm not a huge fan of the marketing behind it because it does look a little gimmicky, with what we were talking about. But it does also match up with the price point. So that I can always appreciate when they don't dress it up and make it seem like there's this huge story and, it's a made up like family history and, super elegant label and bottle. And it's like $30 and you're just like, what am I going to drink? This is like, I didn't know what to expect. You know what I mean? It's like
Neither of us did.
Big House 120. I expected to punch me in the throat.
Oh yeah.
But I did see Sazerac on the back, so I'm like, all right, there's a little bit of saving grace here. Andy, who's a great guy at the state liquor agency by me. When I come in on Wednesday, he basically is like, all right, this is what I have left. If you were here earlier, we could have gotten this, but this is what I have left. And I was like, I'll take your word for it. How much is it? He's like, it's $29.99. I was like, fuck it, let's roll with it. I was a little nervous because I knew we had you on the show, and I would have loved to do like really plan it out. Like, hey, what would really go well with the white? But this was it was kind of a blind taste test, like Rick was talking about. But
I wonder if that other bottle I brought would.
Sazerac.
Mm-hmm.
Could you always try it before we're done with this cigar?
Yeah.
So the bottle I'm going to give 7-ish because, like Nate said, you can put it in a cocktail. It's going to, have some balls to it because it's 120 proof. It drinks like it's a little harsh on the end. I think it's got a little more caramel sweetness to it, but it is not necessarily a sipper. I put 4 drops of water. Four cups of water, or four cups. Lighten it up. 4 drops of water in it. I think it actually mellowed out the finish of it, which I think is nice. The cigar, it's funny to hear, especially all three of you guys, Sean, Rick, and Nate, about how you wouldn't have this at the end of the day. I actually, I get in different moods. I'm more of a medium to full-bodied smoker usually. The milder cigars, if it's all Dominican, I definitely do not want that at the end of the day. Typically, people will always say, when you're referring them to different cigars, like, what do you like? It's like, I don't want to taste it in the morning. Mm-hmm. A lot of the milder Dominican blends, those are the ones I don't want to taste in the morning.
They just taste like burnt tobacco.
Yeah, I get like a little tongue bite a lot of times. You know what I mean? It starts well.
There's no flavor.
Yeah, it's just like this. This one, I kind of disagree with you guys on it. I'll give this cigar, let's call it 8.25 for the price point. Everyone's comparing it in the garage here to a Monte Cristo White, which is a $14 cigar. So it's punching above its weight class here a little bit, in my opinion. But I stick with what I was saying, what I love about it, with the amount of Seco and really focusing, like you said, on the wrapper, with the retrohale, I'm still getting similar flavor that I do when I smoke this as the first cigar of the day. Yes, I maybe have a choice of different cigars if I had that steak dinner and all the stuff we're talking about. But right now, even with this whiskey, I'm still getting some great flavor from this white. This cigar it's so flavorful, but it's not really a powerful smoke. So I can kind of see where you guys are coming from. But I mean, if I had another dinner, that wasn't that, or it had more garlic to it or something like that, I think this is a kind of a cigar that, you have a very flavorful dinner, I might do this afterwards, like maybe like a salmon dish or something.
A fish. I agree with you. If you had a piece of fish and then go out and have a cigar, I have no problem with that. Yeah.
When we're talking about the Cuba thing, one of the things we had in Cuba a lot was like that seafood is a huge thing down there. Mm-hmm. So I think this would actually go better with more of that seafood, that kind of the ocean type of a climate of eating,
especially with that saltiness.
Yeah, the saltiness. Yeah,
for sure.
So you had mentioned comparing this to the Monte Cristo White in terms of price. What is the price on this cigar? We haven't mentioned that.
So on the shelf, it's around $10. It's a little below average. This cigar is. Let me pull up the official MSRP here, because I have it. So yeah, MSRP for this Toro size, which is a 6 by 52, it's $9.99.
Wow. All right.
So that's I guess we can talk about that much, but this and the West Tampa Black, they come in at MSRP $8.99, $9.99, and $10.99 for the Robusto, Toro, and then the 6x60, I believe. Yes, the Gigante. So you got 3 basic sizes of each of these cigars, and it's coming in. And that's what I like about it, Rick, too, is that you came in with these core brands. And you came at it with the fact that it's like, hey, I know what the average price is. And you were with CAO for a long time. And I think CAO kind of kept their pricing in their portfolio, in General's portfolio, kind of in the same ballpark. And you're like, I could come out with something and say, all right, right out of the rip, $14-15 for my core line. I assume, I'm not going to put words in Rick's mouth or his plans, there will be some West Tampa cigars that are in that $15 to $20 range.
For sure.
That's not necessarily what you want to come out of the gate with.
But to come out of it, come out. Yeah. Let's get it in people's hands. Let's get people smoking stuff. And that part is a blatant win. That's where I kind of say, comparing it to some of the other stuff out there, it smokes well, got a ton of flavor, and that's where I'll say that.
Very tight ash too.
Yeah, construction is great. I will say the pairing. It's a 7. The pairing's not great. It's not terrible, but it's not great. Yeah. But I think that, I liked having Sean go first because he had the most blind taste test of all of us. You had someone that had never drank this, had never smoked this, and so that's the best blind pairing there.
So, Steve, let's talk about the price points in the black and white and the sizes. So what we did was we knew that we wanted to launch these 2 together. Typically, when a company launches a natural, it's going to be $8, okay? And then they launch the Maduro or the darker version, and because of extra time for fermentation, extra aging, higher primings, expensive tobacco to make it dark and deep in color, you have to pay more. And so we would say, why are we going to penalize the fans of black and say, you should have enjoyed the white, because the white is $9, but the black for the Toro is $10.
Yeah,
we're penalizing you. So we're taking lots of margins as a company to make sure that the black and white, wherever you want to, you're paying the same price point. And we're going to do that for red too. So when you go into your shop and you have the choice of black, white, or red, you're not going to be penalized because you've chosen this one over this one. It's all equal price point, and we can control that by losing margins to satisfy the customer base. And that's exactly what we did.
I think it's a huge move. Again, I mean, that's not only are you taking a gamble, we'll talk about it more in part 2, you're taking a gamble by obviously launching your own company 2 days after retirement. You have these cigars coming out, the core ones, and you want to be able to be, I don't want to say it's like that in a negative way, but it is. It's an everyday smoker. This is something that, the average price point anymore is north of $9.99. Yeah. And you're below
12, that. 13.
Yeah. So the fact you're doing that, the red coming out, you guys will have to keep an eye out for that, but it is going to have, I believe, the San Andreas wrapper, which is on the attic as well. Correct. It's a similar wrapper leaf on there. So it will be blended to be a little bit fuller bodied. So you will now have that core line like you see in a lot of companies where you have a bit of a milder side of things, a straight medium and a little fuller bodied. So he's going to have all those components, and to hear that they're all going to be that kind of universal price, and then you'll go from there. Like I said, I imagine there's going to be more limited. There's going to be, I hate the word premium, super premium, all that stuff, but you're going to have that higher price point probably coming out of West Tampa, which I think there's a lot of flexibility there when your baseline is just below average price point, but the smoking experience is, again, punching above its weight class. When you see a $9.99 cigar being compared with 2 people in the same kind of setting right now with a $14 cigar, that speaks volumes.
Because it's kind of the old technique of under promise, over deliver.
Yeah.
So if we can get you to enjoy the cigar, you will try the other cigars based on price point or not. But I guarantee you, I'll say this out loud, and you can mark it in stone, that we are never going to release a cigar because we're missing price point and just charge more money because we're missing that price point. The only way that we're going to deliver a $14, $18, $20 cigar in the future is that's the reason behind that. Because it's not because, oh, look at the packaging, look at the pretty box, look at the pretty band, it lights up. That's all bullshit. So if we can control
who would
everything,
want that?
Well, I did.
You're not smoking the box.
Exactly. But if we
had to
can
throw it back at him
it,
after he said he wanted that.
Oh, I know.
But you know what? Limited. There is, presentation that needed, and you have to pay a little bit more. But you don't have to double, triple your money on presentation to get that cigar out. Because I've been involved in blending, and I remember Palone when we smoked it. We looked at the presentation of Palone. We knew, bro, we can't sell this cigar for $15. To who? To who? I want to sell it to the masses. So let's deliver a $15 experience in a $10 range, and everybody's happy. So I'm not saying that we are going to launch it because there is a limit. We're not going to launch a $50, $100 cigar like Cohiba. They have the rich history that you can do that. We don't have that rich history. So what we want to do is give the masses a sample of what we are, and just follow us. If you go into this direction more expensive, there's going to be a reason we're going to charge you more. It's not because we want to make more money.
No,
I'm
absolutely.
I'm not in this business at 63 years old to make more money.
No, it's obviously the passion, and obviously, it's cool to see that your family's involved with it and people that you're close to. With that being said, I do want to round out part one. We'll take a quick intermission.
Okay.
Thank you to Rick Rodriguez being a part of this. He's obviously very busy. He was on a show last night. He's traveling starting tomorrow, the next day. And if you're in the Midwest, hopefully check his page or West Tampa Tobacco on Facebook and everything else, Instagram. You guys do a pretty good job of getting your stuff out there so far, which is fantastic. So if he's going to be near you, I know he'll be in Ohio. He'll be in Dayton at the Stogie Smoke Stop on Thursday, whatever that is, before March 18th. There you go, March 16th. And he'll be in Columbus, Ohio at the Smoking Tent event, Tinderbox at Easton on March 18th for the big party. We're going to have him up on stage at some point to kind of talk with some of the other guys. You're going to be joined by Christian Iroa is going to be there.
Good.
You're going to have David Blanco there, and then Hector Alfonso, who's with Eric Espinosa. If you've met Hector, he's the operations manager, warehouse blender, everything. So just a fantastic crew we're going to have up there, and then reps from multiple different companies. Great party. Check it out. There's about less than 20 tickets available, so don't hesitate. Get on the phone tomorrow. Stop by the Tinderbox at Easton and buy yours.
So Eric is not going to be there.
So Eric had a scheduling conflict that he didn't realize he had committed to 5 months prior. There's another big event going on in the U.S. that same weekend. Which he was going to commit to us since he had been with you, obviously, for like 8 years at the Smoking Tent event. But then he realized that he had committed to a group that was going to be at the other event for a special breakfast. So he had to unfortunately cancel with us, and that's why he's sending Hector up to represent
Mr. Warmth.
Good.
Yeah.
So my liver's safe because you remember about maybe it was second to last time I was there, and Eric was feeding me the drinks, and all of a sudden my world went away, and I was in a car passed out.
Wasn't year two. Rick had a flight about, I think it was like 6 or 7 or 8 p.m. that evening, and I don't know why, but somehow he ended up on stage after everything. It was during the raffle. And Nish and Eric started just, hey, if anyone wants to, buy Rick a shot, and we cut it off. I think it was at 5 or 6. We're like, no, guys, stop. I mean, you had a line of people with a shot,
and I was a fool to drink all these shots. And Eric says, "Hey, bro, we're walking off the stage," and he says, "Hey, bro, where's your keys? I want to get something out of the car." And I go, "What? It was my keys. Here you go, bro." He said, "You're not going to drive anywhere. Just go to the fucking car and take a nap." Yeah. And I went, I'm going to go. And bro, I was out. I was out. Yeah.
Things happen at
so
the Smoking Tent
thank you
event.
so much, Eric, for saving my life. or getting me drunk and then saving my life.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, don't worry. He said he's going to be back next year, so you'll be a chance to hopefully retaliate a little bit. Guys, cheers. Happy Whiskey Wednesday. Thank you to Rick and West Tampa Tobacco. We're going to take a quick intermission, and we'll be back with part 2, which is Go All In. Get a little bit dialed more into what's going on with Rick and the future here and just how he ended up at this spot. I'll have a little review of kind of the last time he was on the show and where he came from and how that translates to the rest of you guys and what's going on in your life. So cheers, and we'll be back momentarily.
I'm going to find that dropper.
Okay. All right, Rick, we stay live. Do you need a break? Can you hit the head or anything?
Okay, perfect.
Cool. And for those of you guys, we keep mentioning it that are listening just in the intermission here, or if you're listening after the fact and we're waiting on everyone to come back here. Smoking Sentiment's great. I'm really happy, kind of a side personal note, that we were able to get Rick up here to do this with us because he truly is, he said he's 10 months into it and he's starting, and it wasn't taking some convincing for him on a personal level. From a business standpoint, it was making sure that, every day of this first full calendar year, if you will, first 12 months, is that it's maximizing it. So I truly appreciate everyone that has bought, with the 230 people plus already that have bought tickets to this event, because you guys have made it worthwhile for someone like Rick and the new company to come up, as well as all the other companies that are going to be represented there. So just fantastic to see that.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but because Fidel Irish Pub next door provides the food and everything for the Smoking Tent event, cutoff for ticket sales is a week from today, next Wednesday.
It will probably be Wednesday or so. I think at this point we'll be planning on feeding at least 250 guests.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I remember last year there were some people that showed up the day of the event and wanted to try and get in.
Yeah.
And they were unhappy that I told them no. So then they went out to the tent and asked Brian, and Brian said, "No, you had 2 months to buy a ticket. You didn't."
We want everyone to be able to get there that can. So appreciate that. And Shannon's out there on the road. Shannon Chapman was on the show a few weeks ago. He's out on the road. I'm not sure where he's at now. I think he's South Carolina.
Yeah, I think he's still in South Carolina.
Fantastic. All right, Rick, you ready?
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Welcome back to the Bourbon and BS podcast, everyone. This is episode 261, part 2. We are still joined by Rick Rodriguez from West Tampa Tobacco Company. It's still tough for me to say that, as I'm sure you've stuttered on that a little bit when you talk about it and introducing yourself, who you're with. Rick has been a part of the show before, and many of you that are in, at least where we're based out of, Columbus, Ohio, you've seen Rick when he was with CAO for over a decade, and just been a huge supporter of the Tinderbox. I know you're a fan favorite everywhere you go. So we appreciate your time spending it with us tonight. And also, as we mentioned, if you're just now tuning in on the audio and you clicked over to part 2, he will be in Columbus, Ohio on Saturday, March 18th for the Tinderbox at Easton Smoking 10 event, 10th anniversary. And he's going to be handing out to you guys that are coming the West Tampa White. And then you're also going to have an opportunity to buy a fantastic sampler at the sales table that includes the white, the black, which I'm going to light up next, as well as the Attic, which we were lucky to get some of the remaining. You didn't have many boxes, but you guys hooked us up with some boxes that we were able to include in the sampler pack. So we're looking forward to that, and thank you very much for staying with us here.
All right. But we're talking about the Attic and the black, and the reasons behind these series and all that. So yeah, for sure, and especially the Attic. We're very excited to share the story of what Attic is going to be in the future for West Tampa.
Yeah.
Sure.
And for those that are going to be in the 10 event, you'll be happy to know I didn't grab any of the Attic from the stock so we could smoke it tonight. I wanted to. It was against my better judgment because we wanted more to be available instead of grabbing a couple to smoke tonight.
I had asked the owner of the Tinderbox last weekend if we could smoke those, and he's like, "Nope, you can smoke the white and black." I'm like, all right.
Guys, you need to learn something. You have a friend that knows a friend that knows a friend, and you should call me. You just call me, hey, bro. And, the guy said no.
Well,
I would love to do that for you guys.
I'm not one of those that's going to try and take advantage of a friendship like that. I know eventually that cigar will be for sale at the shop, so I'll just
if
buy
there's
it.
any left.
I'll just buy it when it does become on the shelf and available. I can wait. That's fine.
That's a challenge to all you guys out there. Make sure Nate never smokes an attic and buy all the sampler packs at the Smoking 10 event on March 18th.
You're a dick.
Yeah, it's very worth that.
Although that's a good sales strategy.
Yeah.
All right, I'm lighting up the black right now.
Okay.
But before I do that, get really into it. The topic tonight is go all in, and having Rick on here tonight. Obviously we talked about this kind of last week, but in a different light. We had David Blanco on with Blanco Cigars, and it was about like beginning again, or I forget how I said it, but it was
begin again or go another round.
Yeah, keep at it. And I think, this is a different topic in my mind, because go all in is something that I know I experienced, and it's not necessarily about me, but when I parted ways with my previous career in the moving and storage industry, I was let go after over a decade, and I had already started like kind of helping out Brian, who's the owner of the Tinderbox at Easton, where I work now. And I was like, he needed help on Friday nights. I didn't necessarily need the money, but he was like, you're up here. I trust you. I know you're busy, but do you think you can give me a couple Friday nights a month just to give me a night off? Said, yeah, love the industry, love cigars. And then when I basically, had to choose what was I going to do after that career path had ended, I had a non-compete. I had, I couldn't stay in the industry necessarily without fighting it. And I'm looking at these jobs, and, I'm on Indeed, I'm on, whatever with Monster at the time. And I'm looking at all these things, and I'm like, I feel like I'm burnt out in this part of it. And Brian had asked me, he's like, well, would you think about coming on with us full time? And he had asked me that prior to that incident happening, where I was let go after, again, a long period of time. And I told him, I said, I would love to do that, but you can't afford me with what I was making at that previous career. I was very honest with him. He understood. We kept the relationship going. And then when I was in need, he's like, let me give you some hours. Christmas time, he needed me helped out. And then he basically, as I was looking for work, he kind of basically scraped together what he was able to. Hey, this is what I could offer you. And I said, yep, let's give it a try. Let's do it.
Yes.
And now it's been 10 years since that happened. So, I mean, I can relate to this topic a little bit, that it's like, once you do it, it is scary. You don't know. There's the fear of the unknown when you do that. But no matter what it is in life, I feel like you can choose. Do you keep, do you floor it? Do you hit the, pedal to the ground? Do you keep a foot on the brake a little bit to protect yourself and your ventures, the people that are important to you, like Rick with his family? Like you've got people that you are responsible for financially, emotionally, and otherwise. But I think this is something that, with having Rick on, I thought this was a great opportunity, because I was thinking about, like, what are we going to talk to him? We've had him on the show before. And I started thinking about his story. And, you were doing something else before the cigar industry.
Exactly.
And you came in. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I take that leap of faith because I was in the flooring industry. And I was hating life. I was making more money than I ever dreamed possible. And I was making good money, but I was hating life. When my feet hit the ground every morning, I was like, oh my God, another day of this fucking shit. And so when Dave Bullock, now the VP of sales for Rockford Hotel, recruited me, I said, to Dave, he tried to recruit me 3 times. One, when he was with Nestle, and we met for the first time. And he said, bro, what do you do for a living? I'm a salesman. He said, bro, you want to sell Nestle's? And I said, whoa, it's a great company, but no, I'm happy with the flooring business. So he reached out to me about 2 years later. Hey, I left Nestle's. I'm working for B&B Beans. You want to sell baked beans for us? No, bro. No, I don't want to.
So much more glamorous than flooring.
Exactly. It's what I'm going to have my friends over. If you come over, I'll give you a can of baked beans.
You'd be great at picnics.
Exactly. But that's limited. I said, no. But about 2 years later, he called me out of the blue again and said, bro, I work for General Cigar. And I had no clue who General Cigar was. Bro, I will say this. Before General Cigar, I have smoking how many cigars in my lifetime coming from Tampa? My rich history of my grandfather and grandmother coming from Cuba. So how many cigars?
Probably none.
Zero.
You
Zero.
had never smoked a cigar.
Ever. Lied through my teeth. I couldn't believe Dave was buying this bullshit that I was serving up on a bed of rice because it was so fucking bullshit. Because I said, Dave.
The hell of a salesman right there.
He says, do you smoke cigars? I said, Dave, we live in Tampa. Of course my grandfather, I went all through this speech. Of course I do. Well, let's go. And we're having dinner. So we're walking through Ybor City. And he stopped and says, let's go to the shop and buy a cigar. What? Okay, I'm interviewing for a job for General Cigar. So I said, you know what, bro? Please, you don't smoke cigars like I do. Let me go into the shop and buy a cigar for us.
You
and
said
so,
that.
Yes. And then I didn't realize that General Cigar, I thought that every cigar box that I saw was their own company. Like Macanudo was their own company.
Sure.
And, and he says, no, this is the list of, we didn't talk about what General Cigar sold. So I had no clue. So I walked into them and said, hey, bro, I need a cigar. And the guy says, what style? What? Okay, a cigar, bro. A cigar. And I said, bro, I can understand. Mild, medium. You know what? I don't know, bro. You know what? For who? My friend and I. Give this guy a Macanudo High Park.
Yeah.
And for you, I would choose the Fuente A5 5x8. No,
858.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a cigar. So I walked out trying to get a job and said, I bought this for myself. He says, Fuente, really?
You did
trying
the research.
You kind of get a job for us. We don't sell that line. Well, how about this one? I just bought this one for you. He said, oh, Macanudo, that's General Cigar.
God, you're a lucky guy.
So my wife looked at me and said, what are you doing? We're going to smoke a cigar. I'm trying to get a job in the cigar business. He says, really, big boy, you're going to smoke a cigar? I said, yeah. Okay, excuse me. Let me be the man of our family and shove it aside. Bro, I was getting sick before the interview. So throughout the dinner, I was kind of clearing my voice because I had a sore throat. And so I started to smoke the cigar. Bro, I was choking into the cigar. And I'm looking at Dave and said, are you okay? And I said, bro, I have a cold. I think I was cold. I'm not enjoying the cigar as much as I used to. And so, bro, perfect. All right. And the next day he says, this is what we're going to, offer you. It was half of the income I was making. And I said, okay, really? This is it. He said, this is an offer. Bro, you know what? Let's do it. Leap of faith. And I did it. And it was half of my pay that going into when leaving a $110,000 job, and I went to work with General Cigar for $50,000 a year. But all the cigars I could smoke,
which is huge for you at that point.
Right. My wife said, you don't even smoke. And a cup of car. Bro, I'm sold. And I started to work with General Cigar. I never smoked a cigar in my life.
That's a great story.
What was your first role? Were you just a sales rep, or?
Oh yeah, I was a salesman for Tampa, Orlando, Jacksonville, and the Panhandle. So when I was hired, there was 32 reps in the country, and this territory that I was running was number 27, and something happened along the way. About 6 months later, bro, I'm getting off track, but this is all in.
Right. That's going all in, baby.
Exactly. So about 6 months later, I walked into the office of our house, and my wife was quiet and says, Ricky, we can't do this. I can't pay the mortgage and have enough money to do all the other things because you're making half the money. We bought this house based on your other pay.
Right.
So you need to quit this job and go back to and see if you can get your old job back. I said to her, that's not going to happen. I really storched that bridge. I mean, when I quit, bro, I quit. Fuck you, kind of thing, and
wow.
And all that. So there's no going back. And he says, well, we can't do this. And I called Dave. I said, Dave, you got me too cheap. I can't do this. I'm gonna walk away. He said, well, what do you mean you want to walk away, bro? Based on your pay, I need another $50,000 right now to just make my bills. And he says, you know what? Let me call the owner. I'll call you back. And he called Mr. Coleman, the owner of Jones Cigar. I said, bro, you know this cat in Florida, Ricky? No. What's your sales number? Well, he's number 27 out of 32. But I believe he's going to be something special for us. So, okay, Dave, why are you calling me? Well, he needs a raise. How much? Well,
double. Maybe
can you give him $80,000 raise right now? Salary.
Yeah,
that's a $30,000 raise, and he's been working for us how long? 6 months, and he's still number 27. He said, bro, trust me. Calls me back and says, we're going to give you $80,000. I said, Dave, wow. If you give me that $80,000, I will be number one. He says, Ricky, you'll never be number one. Your territory is too small. You're never. I said, Dave, if you help my family, I guarantee you it's not going to be a lack of me working because I don't make them. I will be number one. Bless your heart, you get to pay. And they paid me all the back pay, and we're happy, and we're gone, and we're gone. And in about 8 months later, I was number one in the U.S. because I had a shop called ABC Liquor chain that developed a walk-in humidor for 75 of their 150 locations. And they said to me, you're our favorite rep. All right now, we only have a stand-up humidor, and they only sold about 10 boxes. And said, we're going to do a walk-in humidor. How many boxes do you think Jones Cigar could sell us? What? We have all this. He says, I'll take one of everything. And I went from about that opening order was $1.7 million. I went from number 27 to number one because I was at the right place at the right time. And these guys were like, oh my God.
But you were also someone that they wanted to buy for. You said that, like, you were their favorite rep.
So you don't want to glance over that.
So even though you had spent 6 months and the interview bullshitting your way through it, because of the way you talk to people, because your interaction with people liked you. And that's one of the biggest things that they tell you in sales is people buy from people they like. The first thing you have to sell is not the product. You have to sell yourself.
I agree, bro. I agree. And I was humble. My first shop that I went to was the hardest shop that was in this territory, and they did it on purpose. If you can survive this first stop, you're good to go. And Sunday was in Ybor City, and he tore me apart. I was so unprepared. The last question he asked me, you want me to buy your cigars? If you can answer one question, how many cigars in a box of McIndoe?
That was the question?
I said, bro, you wanted to know the blend? No. How many cigars are in a box of, I said, I have no clue. I said, You need to fucking get your act together and, research what you're doing. He said, Ricky, flip the box up upside down. He said, there's 25 cigars.
Yeah,
it's printed on your box. Learn your product and come back to see me. And he was a horrible account for Jones Cigar, one of our favorite accounts when I left.
That's amazing. Well, I mean, it's good to have. I mean, not only did you have that great opportunity, obviously, with the ABC, but I mean, you also these learning experiences that you have. I mean, because again, you went all in. that, I mean, that's also a story to a point, and I don't encourage this as a practice where you the whole fake it till you make it type thing, but you kind of did a little bit because it was, you know, you also, it's interesting though, because, you know, with you going all in, when you're in the flooring industry, you obviously turn down some opportunities with Nestle, with these other, the baked beans and all this stuff. I don't know what it was with the cigar, it just felt right for you. But I mean, again, you had someone that you met that also believed in you to come back to you 3 times, 3 different industries.
Sure. Yeah.
But the salesperson, you're good at it. You sold yourself, like Nate said, and then you go into these accounts and you probably felt like, oh, I can do this. And you used the word, you were humbled by the good experiences. And it sounds like you were humbled by the bad experiences. And I think that's a big part of this, is that you fast forward to now with West Tampa Tobacco Company, and there's a whole story. And we can touch on it a little bit, but if you guys are on like podcasts with Apple or Spotify, if you do a search for Rick Rodriguez Bourbon and BS podcast, you'll find the other episodes that he was on. And we went over a lot of this history with you learning, you know, with General Cigars once you got past all of this stuff, and you really went all in. I think it's fantastic to see that. But I think there is a part of that where it's like, do you believe in yourself? And I think that what I got from what you just told the audience here and us is that there were people, including your family, including these connections you had, they seem to believe you believed in yourself. That's great, but you didn't even know what you were doing. So you have that account in Ybor City challenging you, and you see that happen. He's thinking probably, I like this guy. He doesn't know shit about what he's selling, and he needs to figure it out. But I like this guy. He might have thought that you never step foot in that store again, and you were fired the next day. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But to your point, you're like, all right, this is a challenge. I got to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to support myself. I want to be good at what I do. And obviously you were burnt out from, you said you torched the bridge, which I wouldn't necessarily encourage. And I don't think you would either. With if you're changing industries or jobs, put your 2 weeks in, calm down, everyone, I get that. But no matter what happens, if you leave the company or they basically leave you, it's you have to recenter and figure out, what do I want to do with this opportunity? And it sounds like, I love the story. That's why I love talking to you, because your story, even before that, but I mean, especially in your years in this industry and being a family man and again, fast forward now, it's like you have the support of your wife, your daughter wants to be in it. I mean, you are essentially, and Gus, your business partner, wants to be in this with you. And there's a lot of belief there, because when Rick Rodriguez does something, he's all in. If you make the decision to do something, it's a pretty impactful move that you're gonna do it. And I mean, not just the cigar side of it, but I mean, again, West Tampa Tobacco Company, it's no different. You're doing this. There was a time when he was on the show, for those that don't know the cigars, but this is just any kind of like the widgets, right? The sales part of it. And you were talking about when you were with General Cigars, and anytime you wanted to launch a regular production cigar, you wanted to make sure, rule of thumb, if I recall correctly, is that there was enough tobacco to make 900,000 cigars.
For sure. That was General Cigars' philosophy, because that's for the first year, and the second year multiplied that third year. So when we blended a cigar, the second person after the blend we need to talk to is the tobacco manager and say, do you have enough tobacco on hand? And so, so General Cigar taught me a lot of great things: how to manage tobacco, how to manage cigars, how to launch cigars. But again, a big company also touches you sometimes the wrong way to do something. So we're going to take the best of the best for General Cigar and use that. And the other one, that's for their direction. That's not for our direction.
Right.
So it's just kind of bypass that. Not saying that's wrong being in business, or the way you're doing business is right for you. This is right for us.
Hey, you take the best practices.
Exactly. But at the end of the day, guys, I think all in to me is believe in yourself first, and then Just do it. Whatever it is, do it, because the scariest part is to take that first step. Sometimes you think it's going to be a cliff and you're going to just stumble and fall and fall. Sometimes it's just a curve. And you're going, what? What the? Really? Really? I've been waiting for 5 years, 10 years to do this. I'm so happy. I'm doing what I want to do. So believe in yourself and take that leap like you did, Steve. And a lot of people do this. But a lot of people just don't want that. And that's not bad either. Be happy.
Well, like, you know, and I bring it up when he's in the garage here. Sean went through a similar thing with his career, and he was burnt out, and the industry was, you know, was kind of like fell victim to the whole COVID period, and everything slowed down in his industry, and he took a total reset, in a sense, a huge step back, and now he's back in the industry, better and stronger than ever, working for a better company. You know, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, Sean, but I mean, you know, you always share that great story, and it's like there's always this common thing too, especially people that are fortunate enough to be, you know, supported by a group of people, whether it be their wife, their husband, their significant other, their family, their parents, their friends, something. But I think it's not easy, but it's a little easier that even if you believe in yourself and you're all in by yourself, but you still have the hesitation, being surrounding yourself by people that believe in you.
For sure.
They're going to back, you know, they're going to back your decision, but they're also going to challenge your decision. Like in your story there, you know, when you took that leap and you were making a lot less money, and your wife's like, I love you, but like, what are we going to do? We're going to, do we believe in this enough that we want to sell the house? You know, what do we want to do? We have to put food on the table. We can't, you know, like we keep this up and nothing changes. We're going to make some serious life decisions that are going to be really rough.
Well, and I've learned from experience as well is, like you said, when you decide to do something that you really want to do, it makes that decision so much easier when you have a support structure behind you.
Oh, right? For sure. For sure. I would do what I'm doing without that support from a family, from friends. Bro, we believe, again, as a lot of people are saying, I think you're better than you are. I don't care what you think of yourself. Mr. Coleman, when he said to me, hey, we're going to promote you and teach you to become a blender, I said, bro, I've been working with you for 4 years. It's the same guy 4 years ago didn't know how many cigars are in a box of cigars. And now you want to train me to be a blender? Are you crazy? We believe in you. You don't believe in yourself. With the right training, you can do it.
All right. I got to ask, Rick, did you ever, I mean, I'm sure you have at this point, did you ever come clean with Bullock about the fact you never smoked a cigar before that night?
It's never been brought up. I've never.
Until tonight.
Yeah.
Exclusive on Bourbon and BS podcast.
So much worse than that. One of my favorite all-time stories for Dave Bullock is I was hired, and the next year, Tampa, the Bucks went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And I said, Dave, I'm going to go out to, I think it was San Diego, to see the Super Bowl. Oh my God. He was a huge Bucks fan. Oh my God, you're going to go out there. You know what, bro? Get me something. I don't care. Just get me something. Bro, I'll take care of you. I went out to the Super Bowl by myself. And that's another story, but by myself. And then I was at the airport returning to Tampa, and we won the Super Bowl. I had so much gear. I said, oh my God, I didn't buy fucking Dave a program. So at the airport, I brought a program, and I'm flying home, and I took a marker, and in the front was the symbol of Bucks, and I said, to my number one fan, thank you so much for your support and love of this team. Signed, Warren Sapp, 99. Super Bowl winner.
No way.
Okay, now I have this. I forgot that I had this, and that we had a meeting, a national sales meeting in Arizona, and I brought the program with me, and we're getting ready the first day, and Dave was going to go to the stage, and I said, Dave, hey, come here. And I reach in my bag. Hey, bro, look at this. Bro, when he saw this, it was a favorite player, Warren Sapp. He saw it. What? What did you get? Oh, bro, don't worry about it. I was at dinner, and he was there, and he signed it for you, bro. I love you, bro. And he's going to the stage, and he's doing his opening fucking presentation. And so, guys, we're going to learn a lot this week about General Cigar and the blends and all that. But, the first lesson we're going to really teach you, everybody, how to get you promoted. And there's a sample today, happened today. A guy is going to be promoted today, tomorrow, a year from now, but he's on the right path. And he looked at me, and all of a sudden, he pulled his program out.
No.
This is how you get ahead in this company. Make your boss happy.
What's the
Ricky,
lesson here?
Could you stand up to me and say,
lie your ass off and forge a signature?
Oh, my God. And I said, oh, my God. And I talked to the reps by me and said, oh, my God, I signed this thing. Never told Dave.
To this day?
And, bro, I walked in Rock Patel's, office one day years later. And all of a sudden, I see a fucking frame picture of that thing. And said, Dave, what is that? He said, bro, that's a magazine. You get framed. I spent like $300 to frame it. I said, bro.
No.
And I think I told Nimish the truth, and he was laughing so hard he couldn't wait to go to Dave's office, bro.
So he knows.
Have you ever tried to take the signature for Warren Sapp and Ricky's? Or what? So the story is, I know how to kiss ass.
That is a story. Did you at least get him a real autograph to this day? Have you ever tried?
No.
Come on.
I think he still has his hanging. He's so fucking.
So there's another story there now. It's like, oh, you got the autograph from Warren Sapp. No, the funny story is
my best salesman lied his ass off.
I promoted the shit out of this guy, and that's it's a big con back there. These lessons of going all in are getting a little crossed here. But I like I like the commitment. I like the enthusiasm. That's nice. It's just a little bit of
it serves me well.
Unethical, but
yeah, it serves me well. And so, but going for a General Cigar, their life lessons and the opportunity for West Tampa was a natural fit. It really was a natural fit. Again, we're pinching ourselves. We're only 10 months old, not 10 years old. We knew that this image, the logo would, because we realized when I was traveling the world for CEO, Europe and Asia and China, when I say, where are you from? Oh, Florida. Okay. Where in Florida? Tampa. They had no, concept where Tampa is in Florida, but they always replied to me, oh, Tampa, cigar capital of the world.
Yeah.
So there's an image in the history of Tampa that resonates with the cigar smokers, and we couldn't believe that West Tampa was available or Tampa. So it's kind of crazy to name a cigar company after a city. So I wouldn't do it if I was in Philadelphia, because I guarantee you nobody from New York or Boston is going to buy a cigar from Philadelphia.
I hope.
And so,
I hope Bobby Hirschman's still listening.
I know.
but Tampa has this image of what, bro, and natural. A lot of people think West Tampa's been around for longer than it is.
Yeah.
Oh, I've been smoking West Tampa right now. The history, but West Tampa is the only 10 numbers old.
Yeah, you have the established date on there.
Yeah, 2022.
I gotta ask, and you don't have to answer this. Could you have really retired when you left General?
No, for sure. No.
So,
financially, yes. But no.
Okay, financially you could have though.
Yes, yeah, for sure. But for that 20 taught me, bro, I have no hobby, and again, understanding what I would do for a living and how much joy I get from this, it's not hard. It's hard in time, but you know what? I'm not, like I said, I'm not digging a ditch. I'm
Yeah.
smoking cigars, meeting great people, talking great conversations, and developing great friendships. Sign me up for the
And
rest of my life.
how long have you been married?
37 years.
So what was that conversation like when you said, hey, honey,
There's no conversation. She
really?
believes that, bro, it was nothing. She's so used to me bleeping. We're only talking about carpet and cigars.
Yeah.
Before that was a long list of, I'm not, no, that's not it. That's not it. That's
Yeah.
not it. That's
Yeah.
not it. Because I was searching for what fit me. And so she gave up years ago. What are you going to do? You can't just quit and you have to have
Yeah.
she, no. When I said, I think I'm going to do, open my own company, when I think the plan
Wow.
is going to be this. Okay, let's do it. Okay. I'm going to go to the garage and start to do it.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah. Some great companies that are started out of garages, from what I know.
Yeah, there's a few.
Yeah.
No, I mean, the attitude is definitely there. And then you bring in your what's your daughter's name for everyone out there?
Sarah.
Sarah.
Mm-hmm.
So, and obviously the family backing, she's involved. And yeah, if that's another level of obviously go all in, because again, you've got her now. She wants to do this. Hopefully it's long term. Hopefully she carries it on. I mean, this is a big step for you guys.
It is, and I think because she came to me, if I came to her even, 3 years before that, she said, "Dad, that's your dream. That's not my dream.
Yeah.
That's not what." And so I had to. I never thought she would ever reach out to me. She enjoys everything I do. She loves to sit there and listen to my stories, and so it just clicked with her. And so, can we do it? So what would kind of the only hard part is to separate dad from manager. That is very hard because she's already corrected me 2 or 3 times in the car. Oh, I'm sorry. Am I working with my dad or my manager? Because I need to prepare different. Oh, I just wanted to talk. No, dad, let's talk about cigars, not about my personal life from 8 to 5.
To compartmentalize like that is tough, though.
So it is. So you don't treat me like your daughter. I don't want that reputation. Oh, you got the job for one reason. You're the daughter. She wants to earn everything she gets.
Well, it goes back to the story you were talking about when you went and you were sweeping the floors for a week at the factory, right? I mean, she's down there for, you said, was it 2-3 months?
3 months.
3 months.
3 months. Yep.
Yeah,
and there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people that's been trained that long. A rep is not maybe a week, maybe an ambassador, maybe a month. There's not a lot of people that's been, trained for 3 or 4 months and say, live, breathe, eat, and work with the tobacco.
No, I think that's in this industry. It's in others. I mean, I think the training is obviously. I'll say that about this, and I mean, I don't want to really stretch this out too long, but I just did want to introduce this as we are getting to the I guess towards the closing part of part 2, because I know you got a tight time schedule here, but I think that support system is something that, no matter what your attitude is, what your level of commitment is, and what you're doing, it has to be reciprocated. It has to be matched. I mean, relationships are a big part of that, right? You go all in and, you go into just briefly, if you're dating someone, if you're trying to be in a personal relationship with a friend and you are giving it your all, there's a fine line. If they're not reciprocating as a friend, as a significant other, as a romantic partner, it all of a sudden either turns into it's too much. It's like we're not at that same level. You mentioned the training in this industry. It is sadly, in my opinion, become so universal that training employees, newer employees for the role at hand, the people that are supposed to be training more often than not anymore, they don't know what they're doing. They know how to maybe do the job, or they were hired in at a higher level and they're trying to train that person. But it's almost like this expectation, like with you coming in there, going way back with General Cigars, like you had never even smoked a cigar. You know sales, but you don't know cigar shops. You don't know the product, and you're being challenged constantly. But that's a weakness even back then. And I think it's so common now is that both parties need to be all in to be successful.
I agree.
Because you can only carry so much weight. And if you're the trainer or you're that management, or you're trying to bring that person along with you and they're not pulling their weight, it's a failure. If you're pulling your weight and you're all in and they're just like, yeah, figure it out, that's a rough match too, because at that point, probably that person that's all in, that's trying to like do well, and they just keep getting, oh, you did this wrong. You did this wrong. Why didn't you know that? And you just want to be like, you didn't tell me. Like, no, I have no training. The cigar industry it's very apparent to me from the sales, just in my 10 years. But I mean, I come from a different background, have sales training, have operations training, stuff like that. Seeing people walk through the door, or seeing like the sales programs from even like there's that obvious disconnect from maybe doing the ground level work to sitting around a boardroom or conference table and saying, hey, we should probably roll this out. And it's like, when was the last time you like smoked a cigar? When was the last time you were in a brick and mortar? When was the last time you did? It's kind of like having this like wish list of who your significant other, or who my friends should be. Like, you talk about hobbies, you start meeting people and like, this is what I expect out of everyone. It's like, have you told anyone that? Are you keeping it up here? Like, do you know how this actually works, like from the fundamental level? And I feel like that's so lacking when we talk about this, and where you're at right now doing this with your daughter working in the business, and you and Gus and all of this. I just think it translates to just everything that, as always, it's communication, it's expectations are clear. It's what do we want out of this? There's just so much lacking that I feel like everything's done behind a computer. It was text, it was email. Now it's this, what we're doing with you, which we have the technology to be personal, even far away. And people still just bastardize it and take advantage of it and don't actually say what they expect out of someone.
Great salespeople do not make great sales managers.
Typically, yeah.
And then like my old position, people that are great in, my previous company, people that were great in billing don't make great billing managers, because they don't know how to necessarily lead and train people. So, I mean, some of the stuff you were saying, Steve, I swear to God, I thought you were talking about me.
Because,
Because
talking about everybody that
it relates
ever
to so
worked
many
with somebody above them. Like, really? Do you know how hard it is to sell the nail or the hammer or the cigar? Have you ever done that? No, they don't. And so, to me, it's also about picking your right lane. Because when Sarah came on board, we thought, okay, she'll be working with Gus. She'll be able to run this company. And she realized that's not what I want. I want to do computer work every day. I want to be you, Dad. I visit the world. I love people. I love meeting new people. Okay, how about sales? Sales wasn't her thing. So we had to figure out what her lane is to now say, okay, this is what we expect from me. Because if the wrong lane is, I don't care what you expect, they're never going to accomplish that, because that's not what they do. So you have to say, you're good at this. Because you're good at sales doesn't mean you're going to be a good manager.
Right.
Because I think General Cigar, Mr. Coleman said, when I said, why are you choosing me? There's so much, more people. That's more. No, you're right, Ricky. I have a great tobacco guy, a great roller, a great salesman, but they don't have the ability to talk to people.
Right.
They don't know how to communicate the knowledge. You do. So all we need to do is give you the knowledge, and you can talk about what we want you to talk about. So that's
a clear message, though. That's what I love about it. That's a very clear message.
Exactly. Showing me this is your right lane. Now that we discover that lets you give you the tools that you're going to be able to drive this lane.
I love that, because that's actually very similar to the venture that I've recently taken on in selling wine and spirits. There was someone at my current employer that was going to be leaving, and I was going to backfill that person's position. At least that's what I was applying for, was to backfill their position. But when the director of that department heard about my experience, working in cigar retail and working in sales, as well as doing this podcast, he realized that I'm really good at connecting with people and talking to people. So he was going to bring me on specifically to do a different job than what that other person who was leaving had done. And then a week later, that person ended up coming back. So initially I was worried that I wasn't going to be getting the job, but because my boss was making the role for me different, they were able to still bring me on. And so I still get asked a lot of times at the store, like, what is your job? Like, what is it that you do? Because there are a couple days a week.
What would you say you do here?
Well, there's a couple days a week where I'm not wearing the company shirt. Instead, I'm wearing a polo or a collared shirt and a sport coat. And they're like, are you a manager? Are you the director? I was like, no. My job is not to be behind the bar pouring people wine flights. That's not what I do. My job is to be out on the floor connecting with people and helping sell bottles on the floor, because it's very similar to working in a cigar retail shop. People come in and they're looking for something. They have questions. You need to have answers, but you also have to ask the right questions as well in order to be able to push product or to be able to sell product. And Monday, my boss challenged our entire team to push a product that had been sitting on the shelves. And yesterday I took that, ran with it, and sold 4 cases of wine of that particular wine that he wanted. So it was because my boss had the smarts to realize that there was something different about me. He didn't want me being behind the bar, either pouring wine or looking at a laptop. He wanted me engaging with people because that's what I do best. And I think because of that, that's why that department has the chance to succeed, because there are people in leadership who know how to recognize that and put the right people in the right positions. And not every company can do that. There's a lot of Fortune 500 companies that struggle with that. They always take the top performers and promote them to managers, but that doesn't mean that they're good managing people.
Once again, the shortcoming is the fact that there's no like training or clear expectations. I think there has to be that vision, and then you have to execute it. And I think that's the big thing, is the commitment level of that. No matter what level you're at, if you're the one creating the opportunities, if you're the one, like with you, Ricky, you basically had someone that believed in you at those levels, and they could see that you were, in a sense, I know we're sticking with the topic, all in, but they also had a vision and clear expectations and this path. This is, if you're going to succeed, we want you to do it this way, and we believe in you to be able to do it that way. I think that you circle around this kind of conversation with your story, Ricky, and where you're at right now. You're in a sense, you're in that infancy stage, but because of the vision, that will change. There's always audibles, there's always turns in the road, there's the forks in the road, all that. But I mean, you have this like, these are our goals. You've already surpassed it because you kind of have seen some of these obstacles before. You know what realistic goals are. I've had those supervisors or people above me, owner of a company before I was in this industry, where their literal response was, by modifying a sales goal, was, wouldn't it be cool if? And I'm like, it would be cool. That's not doable based on the time frame and what we have in our resources. And they're like, yeah, but it'd be pretty cool. People would be psyched about that. I'm like, they would be. They'd also be psyched about hitting the goal that you had established before we went into this sales cycle. They're like, well, yeah, but, and it's just like, these aren't realistic expectations. You have to have some realism behind some of the things you're doing, with that hope, with that dream, with the vision. But you have to be able to do it in those increments. You grow too fast, no matter what it
Oh,
is.
for sure.
Sales,
For
business, personal growth. If you move too quickly, you don't really necessarily appreciate the steps that you're taking to get there, because it just kind of happened. And then all of a sudden you're in the real, there's obstacles there. You don't necessarily have the ability to face the obstacles in a successful way, I feel like.
I agree, because we learned a lot this trip to Nicaragua. Gus and I dropped off Sarah for her training, and we had a lot of time together, and we realized this time that we're together, person to person, is so valuable, because what we realized, look at our plan, we're kind of getting into that Jello Cigar kind of wheel, meaning, what are we going to launch? What are we going to launch? What are we going to launch? And it's a bro, whoa, what are we doing? And Gus and I said, I don't know, bro, because we're launching too much in our plans too quickly. So let's step back, get off this wheel of Jello Cigar. We need something new every 6 months, every year at the trade show, and say, bro, when it's time, it's time. Yeah. And so there are a lot of companies out there say, you know what? We have not launched a new cigar in 4 years. Why? You're not doing no, we're doing the right thing for us. And so we don't think we're going to launch another cigar, and maybe until the trade show of 24.
Wow.
So yeah, because we're saying, bro, stop. We're going to launch another one at the trade show this year. I said, bro, we're not getting the justice for black, white, and now red. Yeah. Enough of foundation to settle. We're building this company on sand, just piling and piling. Yep. And so we need to focus on these 3 lines. So if it's a year, 2 years, be happy with this. And then we'll grow when we need to grow, not because we thought it's just a wheel. This is the timetable.
There's strategy there. It's not just like, that age-old thing where, like, you just throw spaghetti against the wall and see what sticks.
Exactly.
I mean,
exactly.
That is a strategy, but it is, you got to have a lot of spaghetti.
Yeah. And
you got to have a lot of money. You got to have a lot of time.
Yeah. If you do it, you need to, have a cigar. If you're launching one every 2 or 3 years, it has to be a good cigar to sustain you to another 2 or 3 years.
Sure.
If it fails, all of a sudden you panic. Let's do something else and get it out there market sooner than you want.
Yeah. We're getting to that point where I know you got to get out of here, Ricky. Yep. So I appreciate you sticking with us. We do end this part 2 with closing remarks, and I do want to remind everyone. Obviously our sponsors, you guys at patreon.com/Bourbon and BS podcast or Venmo at Bourbon and BS. We appreciate the financial support. We're not looking to make a shit ton of money off of this. We're just looking to keep this thing going so that it makes sense for everyone. We love the community that we have. We've grown. And also Tinderbox at Easton, the Smoking 10 event, March 18th. Ricky will be there with West Tampa Tobacco. He's going to be handing out our first cigar that we smoked in part 1. So if you guys haven't listened to part 1, check it out. We talk about the white blend, and right now I'm smoking the black. And I know we're going to have the Attic. The first of that series is going to be at the sales table as part of the sampler pack. And also Altadis USA, we appreciate the support continuously on that. Normally we'll have the second cigar from them, and they've supported us. They've got great brands like Monte Cristo, Romeo y Julieta, Upman, Aging Room, and others. They will also be at the 10 event. And you'll recognize some of the people at the booth as well. We got Josh Bentley, who's a recurring guest on the show. He's been promoted, but he's going to be coming back to the 10 event. Ricky was mentioning another guest that's been a part when he was with General. Now he's with Forge, but coming from Texas, Jonathan Herring is going to be flying up just to go to the 10 event to see Ricky, to see all of the guys from the Bourbon and BS community. So we've created a nice community with this, and we appreciate that. And check out some of the BS cigars as well. Nate, I'm going to start with you tonight with the closing remarks, and then Ricky, if you want to close out, and I'll just kind of comment on your guys's, and we'll let Ricky go back to his supportive family and his wife and everyone else that lets him do this on a Wednesday night after he did a Tuesday night show, and he's going to be traveling and everything else. He's got a great garage. Luckily, he's got a great garage.
Oh, bro.
So much nicer than this one.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Nate.
No, I mean to the point of the topic, go all in. I think it's just that you have to put all of yourself into it. You can't go if you're going into a new venture. You can't go in with an exit plan or a plan B already in mind.
I love that.
Because if you do, one, you're either not fully committed to that project or you don't think that you're going to succeed in that. And if you have either one of those beliefs in the back of your mind, you're almost dooming yourself to failure before you ever start. So so when you're going to do something that you want to do, like you have to put everything into it, all your energy, all your time, in order to actually get the most out of it. Because the more you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it on the long term, on the back end of it. But you can't half-ass it because the results aren't going to be there, and then you're going to second guess yourself as to whether or not you made the wrong move. But the truth is, you didn't make the wrong move. You just did it the wrong way because, you didn't, we said earlier when we talked about sales, like you have to sell yourself first to other people before you sell the product.
Sure.
You also have to sell your vision to yourself as well. Like you have to fully commit and sell yourself to the belief that this is what you want to do and that you're going to be successful at it. Otherwise, you're always going to be second guessing yourself. You're always going to be playing it safe. And sometimes you can play it too safe to the point of failure. But on the flip side, you also have to be smart about how you do go into something.
Yeah.
Ricky had mentioned briefly, like financially, he was okay if he retired and didn't do West Tampa Tobacco. But because he was okay financially doing that, he's able to actually look at this and go, okay, going into this, I don't have the same budget that I did when I was with General Cigars. So when I do this, I need to be smart about how I'm spending my resources because I don't have the millions and millions of dollars that they do. I need to really think and be smart about the things because some of the stuff I used to do when I was with General, I can't do that on my own because I just don't have that kind of backing.
Yeah, pocketbook's different.
Yeah, pocketbook's a little bit different.
It is.
There's less zeros on the end of it probably.
Yeah.
But I mean, you had talked about taking the pay cut to work for CAO. Chances are if you'd have sat down and actually ran those numbers with your wife before you took that, like you may not have actually taken that chance.
No. You had to just leap, just leap.
And you learn that the hard way because 6 months later, she's like, you need to go back to your other job or make more money. And fortunately for you, you were in a position to where they were able to offer you more money to keep you because they recognized that there was something about you to where you'd be worth that kind of money. I've talked about it over the last month, when I took on this new venture, it was a slight pay cut, very slight pay cut. But because of that, because I wasn't making a shit ton of money before, I was concerned. But ran those, my wife and I, we talked about it. We're in a good enough position to where I could take this on and we'll still be just fine. We'll still get through. The bills are paid, the roof's over our head, food's on the table, things are good. Because of that, now I can focus on the job. I can focus on doing what I'm supposed to do and enjoy doing that because I'm not worried about all the other things at home. Because that stuff's taken care of, because we've actually thought about it, I can go all in and really focus my time and energy on what I'm doing. And because of that, I'll be more successful because I'm fully committed to it.
That and happier, bro. You get old enough, all you want to do is be happy. I know this for a fact. I am going to work the rest of my life. I'm okay with that. It's not because of money. It's because I love what I do. But I said to my wife, Susan, years ago, I think I will always work, but I want to get to the point of working because I want to, not because I need to. I don't want to be 65 years old or 70 years old going to Walmart because I need to pay for my drugs to keep me alive. No, no, don't.
Sure.
But if I have the ability to work through the next 20 years doing what I do today, sign me up. Sign me up. So, in my closing, believe in yourself and all your dreams will come true. If you just believe in yourself, start there, and that path looks scary, but the leap is not that far and the journey is not that dark. And when you get to the end, you're going to be so much happier because money is not the happy pot you think it is. Because I've met a lot of people in this industry, trash guys that was smoking cigars with us and having a great time. And I made the millionaires that were smoking the cigar by themselves miserable because they think everybody's going to steal their money. So happiness is what you want it to be, and your enrichment is what you want to afford. So I don't need a new car every year. I don't need a new house. I don't need to have West Tampa build me a beach house. And look at me. You know what? I don't need that. What I need is my garage, my guys, and once in a while to afford a steak and a burger all the time. That's it.
Love it. Well, I'll comment on that. Like, it would be nice if West Tampa, you have a West Tampa beach house that you can invite people to, like, the Bourbon and BS podcast. That'd be great. It'd be fine. I mean, if that happens, it happens, and we'll do an episode from
no pressure.
Wherever you're at. There's no pressure, but I mean, like, good luck to you. No, I mean, money doesn't necessarily buy happiness, but it does, it's the same thing no matter what the arena is in your life. I know so many people that, in my 40 plus years, that being in a relationship was the most important thing. And it's like, why? Well, I that's what I want. I want to be happy in a relationship. It's like, well, there's two different things: being in a relationship, being happy in a relationship. I want to make a lot of money. Well, why? So I can afford this, and I want to feel, I feel successful. It's like, well, those are two different things. Sometimes, knowing what you want, knowing the why will absolutely translate what the difference is of what the actual goal is. You want to be happy, like you said, Ricky, and Nate, you're talking about it as well. It's like these leaps of faith. Don't do it necessarily without a calculated risk, without realizing the why. I think the going all in thing, you can if you know what the why is and why you want whatever you're putting everything you have into it. And again, I go back to what I said at the other side. Have enough self-respect for yourself to realize that whatever the goal is, whatever the step is, whatever you're going all in is, it's absolutely for the right reasons, and it's also going to be appreciated and reciprocated, because I think that sometimes people just go all in and then they're lost shortly thereafter because I'm doing everything I can and the relationship's failing. My career sucks. I don't like what I'm doing. And I think hearing, Ricky, you were successful in that flooring business, and we've talked about that before. You do these things, and Nate, with your previous careers, relationships, whether they're short or long, whether it's your, whatever it is, your personal health goals, just being happy, figure out why. Just saying you want to be happy and I'm going to make more money and I'm going to have these things and I'm going to have a family around me. To your point, Ricky, I know a lot of like rich people that have been divorced, that don't talk to their kids, or their kids don't talk to them. They had a lot of failures. And it's like, there's so many that do it for the right reasons, but they don't know what they are until way later after all the mistakes. So try to figure it out, I think. And I struggle with that sometimes. It's like, what do I actually want? Do I just want to go to work in the morning? Do I want to make, my girlfriend happy? Do I want a roof over my head? Do I want something bigger? But I always ask the why. And I think that it's like, if I'm going to put myself out there and try to really commit myself to focus and put, everything I have into something, it is figure out the why. And some days I don't always see the vision. And I think that is very, very normal for some people, most people. We all have our bad days. It doesn't mean you have to throw in the towel, give it up, and just, walk away from it and necessarily just start over. I think going all in sometimes is the fact that it's like you realize that when you figure out the reason you're doing it, that sometimes will pick you back up. That will recenter you. That will figure out what you want to do with that day. Start with that day and then realize, how do I work backwards from the goal, the reason why I'm doing that goal, and work it back to waking up tomorrow and taking that first step to getting back on track, or continuing the path if you are having success.
My takeaway right now is, you're going all in. We're talking about careers. Maybe you're all in on your family, your friendships. That could be happiness too.
Relationships.
So, career-wise, you know what? Whatever you're doing, do it. And if it's just, I'm not the guy that wants my own business. I don't want to. My happiness comes from my family. Go all in. Spend more time. Talk to them. My happiness for my friends. Go all in. Invite them to your house. Go to their house. And so all in is different spokes on the wheel of life. So I'll go all in. It's what you're saying, Steve. What is what you want? What is all in for what? Career, family, friends, whatever it is, health, go all in.
Yeah, and keep moving forward. Don't live in the past. Learn from the past and look towards the future. And guys, happy Whiskey Wednesday. Ricky, thank you very much. Cheers.
Cheers, guys. I love you guys.
Love you too. We'll see you in a week and a half in Columbus, Ohio at the Smoking Tent event on March 18th, Tinderbox at Easton. About 20 tickets left. And thanks to our sponsors. And most importantly, we do wish Ricky, the family, Gus, everyone that's involved in West Tampa Tobacco Company, that we can't wait to have you back on and maybe back in the garage.
Love it.
So, take care, brother.
All right. Take care, guys. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.